Hey guys, what's going on? Dubs here. I'm starting a new series of Dominions 4. This is a game I have been wanting to play for quite a long time. I just picked it up in the last couple weeks or so. I haven't played it a whole lot, which is probably going to go over fairly poorly as far as having a chance to win the game, because it is very in-depth. It's a very large learning curve, it seems like. So I'll dive into this, see what we can do. Like I said, I haven't played a whole lot, so strategically I'll make a whole boatload of mistakes, I'm sure. If you're not familiar with this, basically you kind of have a map that's... I like to think of it like Total War, so you have your overall strategic map where your armies are moving around, you have your cities, etc. You know, build units, things like that, move them around, and then when they encounter another army, it kind of zooms into a battle map, and it's an automated fighting system. Based on settings that you make up. So, with that said, you can see the land tiles and the sea tiles on the right. That represents how large the map is. I don't want to go super small like Frosted Land. I'm thinking something kind of along the lines of like Phantomia, 62 land and 19 sea. That seems decent to me. Or I could go Silent Seas. That's a lot of water, percentage water to land. So we'll go with Phantomia. Now this is the map, and that's pretty much exactly what it looks like in-game. If you haven't played this, like it looks just like that, if I'm not mistaken. That is not like a graphical representation of it. So it says the planet Phantomia is remarkably small considering its gravitational pull, and certainly too small for several divinities at once. Defeat the false pretenders and win the Phantomians for the one true faith. So basically the game is surrounded around a whole bunch of different nations, and you represent a pretender god, which basically you're trying to spread your religion around this world. And the other nations have their own gods, so you're trying to crush their faith, spread yours around. That's how you win the game. A lot of these nations, which we'll see here in a second, I'm just going to call this Dubs 01. That looks good. Actually, I'll get into the nations after this. So you have these eras, and early, middle, late. And basically, from what I can tell, the early ages are very strong in magic. You can read it right there, but very strong in magic, not a whole lot of technology. So it says they're using weapons of wood, stone, and bronze. And then as the game progresses in terms of ages, not only do you have nations falling off or becoming new nations, but also the magic starts to kind of deteriorate, and technology, of course, develops. So I've only played early ages. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with that for now. Though I think in the long run, I feel like I'm probably going to end up in the middle ages as far as games go. But we'll start with the early ages just to kind of test it out. The map said 3 to 7 players. So we'll go with 7 normal AIs, 1 human. And here's the nation selection. So you have a whole bunch of choices. And the really cool thing, the thing that really interests me about this game, is that a lot of these nations are designed after not only real civilizations, but also like fantasy and things like that. So, for example, pretty much anything that ends in Heim, H-E-I-M, you got Vanheim, Helheim, Niflheim, not sure if I pronounced that right. I believe those are pretty much based off of Vikings. You have the Relye, the third one from the bottom, the Time of Aboleths. I'm going to throw it out there right now that I think Aboleths are freaking awesome. They're sweet as hell. I would love to play with them. They're a naval, I guess, nation, or they're like a sea-based nation. So I think that's probably harder to play with from what I'm gathering. So I'm going to avoid them for now. You got the Citis, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, the Lizard Kings. So a lot of different things here. The Kalem are like, I guess like bird people. But pretty much if you look this game up, you can kind of find out what all these nations are and things like that. It's really interesting, kind of following. There's a lot of history in the game is what I'm getting at. So I think I'm going to go with one of these Viking ones. And unfortunately, I don't remember the one that appealed to me the most. So I'm going to go with Vanheim, just picking one. It says Vanheim is a nation ruled by Vanir, ancient enemies of the Jotun giants. Vanir can sail across the oceans and hide themselves with illusions. They mostly use infantry and sacred berserkers. Their dwarven smiths are powerful earth mages. I feel like that's... yeah, we'll go with it. Okay. So here it kind of gives us an overview of our nation. It says that we are ocean sailing, trace income across oceans. I don't know what that means. Illusions, prefers cold scale +1. Military's veneer. Our magic is air, earth, blood, some fire, and death. And then priests are average, can perform blood sacrifices. Don't know a lot about that. Hit OK. Now we are developing basically the benefits of our nation. So we can pick our pretender god, the look of him. I think that this son of Fenrir seems kind of fitting, seeing as we're Viking-based. Fenrir is a Viking mythology thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, you see these icons here. We got fire, I believe air, water, earth, astral, death, nature, and blood. These are like the magic that your god will be able to use once you get into the game. So it said we were, let's see, was it air, earth, and blood? Now, if our mages are really good in earth, air, and blood, I'm thinking that we should focus our god on something else. I don't know if that logic is totally flawed or not for purposes of strategy in the game, but that's what I'm going with. So, let's, it's already got 1 in water here, so we'll go ahead and go with that. Nature, it's got 1 also. So you can see my design points are diminishing as I increase this. Defense skill goes up, so at 4, each one has its own benefits. Reinvigoration, whatever that is. Nature is HP. That's always nice. So we'll go 5 in air. I'm just making it up, basically. And let's go 4 in earth. That'll get us benefits from both of those. Again, don't know if it's ideal or not. I think that this game, it seems to me that it's really beneficial to pick a nation or 2 or 3 and really learn how to play them, because it seems very detailed, and that really shows in this next part about dominions. These can go into positive or negative. So, for example, this one here is productivity versus sloth. If you go positive, you get income and resource bonuses. If you go negative, you get negatives. And I guess since some races have different costs associated to their units, either gold or resource being the 2 things that you have to watch. I hate that they call them resource, by the way. To me, that's kind of like a general term. I could say resources, but since it's called resource, I can't use that word. So, anyway, I don't really know the best case scenario for our nation, Vanheim. Dominion is kind of how strong your religion is, and it helps spread it around faster from what I understand, so I'm going to go ahead and bump that up. Order versus turmoil. Unrest reduction sounds good to me. I'm not going to really put a lot of thought into these since I don't really know a whole lot about how it works anyway. And it did say cold scale is good for this nation, so let's see. 0, I think going into the negatives is cold, right? Supplies go down and income goes up. So that makes sense to me. Unfortunately, we just broke into negatives, so that's okay. We'll go with that. Again, don't know if it's ideal. Final thing is imprisonment. So if you start awake, your god is available right at turn 1. If you start dormant, he'll come in approximately a year later, and it can randomize. So sometimes more than a year, sometimes less. And then in prison, it's like 3 years, it says, down the line. So that's pretty far down. And then if you choose these, you get additional points to design. So let's go. We're going to go ahead and do dormant just because I feel like I don't know enough about the game to control our initial armies and the god. So maybe that'll give me time to kind of get things in order. I'll increase the air a little bit. And I feel like this is probably a good idea. Supplies. Luck doesn't appeal to me. Magic. Order turmoil. Let's see if we can fit anything in. -3. Oops. We could go... I don't know. We could go all the way to 7 on Dominion. That seems really high. It's really cheap to increase that. I wonder if it's kind of weak. Okay. We could actually go 1 more point for our god here in nature. We'll go with that. That's fine. Okay. Ooh, a god's name. I forgot about this part. What sounds Viking-ish, like Norse mythology type thing? How about like Firlanalm? I don't know, just made it up. Firlanalm. I like it. Alright, so I had a little bit of a crash there. The game told me that it could not find a location for our nation, so I had to go back. I reset everything, did exactly the same things. I did cut one AI out, so we have 6 total teams in here. Here's the beginning. It says, in the beginning there was chaos. Out of chaos rose worlds populated with multitudes of beings. Wars were fought, kings and emperors rose and fell, and civilizations were built and crumbled as millennia passed. Gods, dark and strange, were worshipped in pagan temples. Still there was chaos. The gods fought among themselves, bringing even greater ruin to those who would serve them. At last there was one, a being of great power and enlightenment, who rose above his immortal peers and cast them out of the heavens into oblivion. From chaos came order, and with order came peace, and the creatures of the worlds flourished. The age of chaos had ended. Now the wheel is turned once again. The supreme gods has suddenly disappeared. Prayers are left unanswered, and the smoke of offerings rises in vain to the heavens. No one knows why he disappeared, but it is certain that the people of the worlds are once again left without direction, without guiding principle, without order. Now is the time for the beings of great power and ambition to try their strength. The throne of the heavens stands empty, and only the strongest can rise to supremacy over all. Only the most powerful can ascend to take the place of he who came before. This is a time of great strife and suffering. This is a time of magic unequaled. This is the Ascension Wars. He who came before, not to be confused with he who must not be named. And we are now in our game. So basically what you have here, you get to start with an army and also a scout. Hake, I'm going to go with that pronunciation, I don't know. I believe is our scout, sure is. So he can move around and investigate the nearby tiles. So for example, we have 5 different adjacent tiles to our capital. We're going to pick one and head in that direction. It looks like right here, this is a throne of Ascension. We get points. Not too familiar with how it works, but it gives you bonuses, helps you spread your religion around. So we'll head in that direction. My experience is that it's very hard to take one of those, especially early in the game. But we'll move our scout over there. He gets to sneak, so it's hard to find him, and he can provide kind of information about the enemy units in there. And then our army itself, we can recruit units over here. So let's see if I can... Yes, here we go. Here's our stats, blah, blah, blah. I'm not too familiar with how this works. What I can say is that 10 is kind of considered average. So I guess like a human would be about 10. And then above or below is where you're starting to get like into weaknesses and strengths. So this being our kind of our hero unit, you can see has a lot of stats above 10. So we'll go ahead and go into recruiting units. We've got Surf Warriors, Huskarls, 2 different types of Huskarls. I don't like this. They look the same except one has an axe, one has a spear. They have the same name. Resources are slightly different. You can open this up, see that this guy has a spear and a javelin. Javelin, of course, being a ranged weapon. This guy has an axe and a javelin. So axes have higher damages ratings. That's probably why they are priced higher, I would say. Herdmen, broadsword, elite guard of a Jarl's host. Then, of course, we got mounted units, Vanir, and Fey Boars, which are 100 gold and only 1 resource. Compare that to a Huskar, which is 25 gold and 13 resource. So, gold and resources can vary quite wildly from unit to unit. And if I'm understanding it correctly, gold is nationwide, so a sum of all of your provinces, and resources is local. I believe that's the case. Hopefully I'm not wrong. If I am, you call me a scrub or something. That's fine. Up here we have our commander units. So I think I'm going to start with a Dwarven Smith because I believe they can research for us. And I'll get into that once it comes out. It's probably slow to build, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, slow to recruit. So it'll take 2 turns for him to come out. And I'm thinking what we'll do is go with... let's actually look at our army setup. So right now we have Huskarls with spears and Surf Warriors. Now the thing to look at here is at the top we have Delling the Vanheim. This is our commander unit. He can lead 60 units total. Right now he has 25. And have 2 squads. If you go over the 2 squads that he can lead, you start to take a morale punishment, a morale hit, which will obviously affect your units, make them run easier in combat. So I don't really want to get outside of that. So with that said, what we're going to do is recruit some of these Huskarls until our Surf Warriors are dead, and then we'll replace them with something else. I'm just going to go ahead and get as many as I can. And that's pretty much it for this turn. I think we could... Can we research with this guy? Not entirely certain. We'll give it a shot. Research-wise, you have all these different choices, conjuration, alteration, etc. Different spells for them. You can open it up and see what spells you learn. So, for example, our god uses air magic. So you can see the icons here. Air shield at level 0. Charge body, aim, false fetters at level 1. So, kind of gives you an idea what spells you're going to learn based on that research that you're doing. So, I don't know them well enough, to be honest, so I'm going to go with what sounds like fun to me. So that's going to be evocation. Sounds good. It'll be 7 per turn with this guy researching out of 50 before it hits level 1. So, that's going to do it. That's the turn. So, we'll hit that. Now we get notices about what's going on. For example... Champion shall hereby be known as the Prophet of Heroes. Right, I actually do need to make my guy into a prophet also. I think that... boy, I hope I can remember how to do this. If not, I'll probably have to figure it out in between videos, because I don't think this is going to go on much longer. Ah, damn, I can't remember. Alright, I'll figure that out in the kind of interim between the next video and this one, so that's fine. Go ahead and move our units in. I think these were the Huskarls, right? Yeah. So then what we need to do is set up our units. So we have a strictly melee army at this point. So we need to, I'm thinking, put everybody in the front line. This white box represents the unit we're currently moving around, which is the Huskarls. And then right here is our Surf Warriors. I think I'm going to put them slightly behind. My thinking is that any ranged units will target our stronger, more defensive units. So I should probably put the Surf Warriors in front and let them take all the damage. Let's do that instead. Use them as a meat shield. I kind of like that better, I think. And then we get set battle orders. There's really no point in us holding back, as far as I'm concerned, since we are strictly melee, so we'll just have them attack the closest unit. There we go. And actually, this is our guy right here. Just kind of leave him where he's at. Oop. Whoops. Okay, so our scout has scouted out this tile. It says province contains about 20 enemy units. Consists of mainly militia and heavy infantry. So, we don't heavily outnumber them, 34 to 20, but I think we'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and send them in. We'll get to see a battle, and then I'm probably going to call it an episode. So, we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to send the scout over here to check out the throne. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of guys over there. I'm assuming. But we'll see. Here we go. Any turn. And there was a battle in Ross. So this is going to be us. We're going to view it. There's some really great graphics coming up, guys. Get ready for this. So, I would narrate this, but I don't really know what's going on well enough to say so. We have our commander back here casting Blessing and Air Shield. And then, of course, our melee units are already in. They charged us, too. And you can actually check out these units, too. You can see they're right around that 10, slightly below 10 health, so they're probably very weak. Here's heavy infantry. They're slightly above 10. And then their commander is average at best. So we should do really well here. Our Huskarls are more than equipped to handle this, so here we go. They're retreating already. So we are going to take minimal casualties, I would assume. And the game does really run that slow. I mean, it's basically like turn-based. in all seriousness. It kind of like stutters. At least that's what it looks like to me. But my understanding is this game is so in-depth and has so much going for it, just strategically and things like that, that the graphics are not of any concern whatsoever. And quite frankly, I don't care about graphics anyway. So I think I'm going to call it an episode there. Got kind of a general outline of what the game's about. I think I'm going to go ahead and go over a little bit of my planning here, just to see what people, if anyone has any comments. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to cycle around. Whoops. I did not mean to do that. Hold on. There we go. I'm thinking I'm going to go like around our capital to establish a perimeter, so to speak, and also to get, you know, a handful of provinces so we have more resources. Because I'm thinking if I power through and go like straight to the throne or something like that, then we just leave our backside totally unexposed. It seems to me that, I could be wrong on this, that it's hard to protect every single province. So I'm thinking you have to have kind of armies spread out and have them respond to threats turn by turn. So that's my thinking. Let me know what you think. I'm really looking forward to this. I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. If you got any suggestions, leave them below. And I will see you in the next episode.